Aloha mai kako. The Aloha chant was written by Pilahi Paki, and in it she shares qualities of aloha, qualities like kindness, of unity, of thoughtfulness, of humility and patience. And she shares this as a gift to the world from Hawaii. Akahayena Hawaii, lo kahia kulike, olu olu kamana o, ha'a ko kulana, ahonuia lana kila. Aloha mai na Hawaii, o ke aloha no ka mea nui. E o mai na Hawaii, na pua na leina mamo, ala mai kalahui, laula kaulana, o mai kalehulehu, ha'aheo oe Hawaii, anua no ke aloha. Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e. Aloha mai kako.
Aloha, and welcome to the fourth celebration of International Yoga Day in Hawaii, Being Truly Human. Hosted by Still and Moving Center, the Gandhi International Institute for Peace, and the Academy of Mindful Movement.
This year's theme, Being Truly Human, focuses on the power of self-determination and choosing our way. It points to the humane aspect of being human, our kuleana to our fellow human beings, and all other beings with whom we share the planet. We recognize the importance of yoga the world over, and how we as humans on this planet can apply our practice to the betterment of all. Women and men, yoginis and yogins, throughout Hawaii and beyond, have cultivated mindful yoga and yoga-like activities for the mind and the bodies. Today, our presenters and world experts will provide you with a combination of opportunities to move as well as be inspired through illuminating lectures. We are grateful to Dr. Raj Kumar and his Gandhi International Institute for Peace for leading the charge that culminated in Hawaii being the first state in the nation to officially recognize International Yoga Day. This year, we are joined in this endeavor by the Academy of Mindful Movement and Blue Lotus Yoga Oahu, as well as by other world-renowned pioneers in personal transformation, and our keynote speaker, Dr. Deepak Chopra. Other presenters this year include Dr. Raj Kumar, Dr. Suhas Kirsagar, Professor Matthew Lopresti, Dr. Piyush Kumar, Renee Tillotson, Jennifer Reuter, Willow Chang, Miko Lenentine, Catherine Hartz, Marla Vall, Asya Kubiak, Yukie Ijima, and Andre Harali. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Raj Kumar, President Emeritus of the Gandhi International Institute for Peace.
Aloha and Namaste. Namaste means I welcome you all and bow to God residing in your heart. On behalf of Gandhi International Institute for Peace, GIIP, I would like to welcome all our viewers from Hawaii, US, and across the globe to our 4th annual International Yoga Day celebration. This was made possible in 2019 when GIIP initiated efforts with the Hawaii State Legislature to designate June 21 of each year as International Yoga Day, Section 8-31 Hawaii Revised Statutes. Hawaii's Governor David Y. Ige signed the Yoga Day bill into Act 102, making Hawaii the first state in the nation to officially recognize International Yoga Day. This was the first step by GIIP to raise awareness about yoga here in Hawaii. Since then, our Peace Institute has been collaborating with the Still and Moving Center every year to organize, promote, and celebrate Yoga Day in Hawaii. I would like to take this opportunity to extend a big mahalo to Renee Tillotson, Director of the Still and Moving Center, and her team. The Still and Moving Center has been raising awareness about yoga and its benefit to health for over a decade in Hawaii. I would also like to extend our gratitude to Honolulu Mayor, Honorable Rick Blangiardi, and Honorable Governor David Ige for issuing International Yoga Day proclamations. Thanks also to Hawaii Senate President, Honorable Ronald T. Kochi, Honorable Senator Mike Gebert, and Senator Taniguchi, House Speaker, Honorable Scott Saiki, and Honorable Representative Matthew Lopresti for issuing certificate for this event. I would also like to thank Dr. Deepak Chopra, one of the leading experts on yoga, meditation, and Ayurveda, for sending us a special message for our 4th annual International Yoga Day celebration. I would also like to extend my gratitude and deep appreciation to other presenters, Dr. Suhas Shirsagar, Professor Matthew Lopresti, Dr. Piyush Kumar, Renee Tillotson, Jennifer Reuter, and Willow Chang for participating in this event. I would like to acknowledge the Operation Manager of Still and Moving Center, Ms. Nilanti Vedibel, and GIIP members for organizing this event, and Global Media Production for promoting this event. Yoga is much more than just the posture we see performed in classes. It is a complete system designed to bring our bodies, mind, and outside world into harmony. We have always been taught and or have been told to be good humans. As much as anything else, you want to be a good person, yoga deeply assists in developing one's holistic personality. Per Indian National Council of Educational Research and Training and Vagabond Temple website, there are various dimensions of our personality, which are related to the physical, emotional, intellectual, social, and spiritual aspects of our behavior. Let us explore in detail physical aspect of our personality. Physical dimension is related to our body. Yoga helps us in achieving a healthy body without any disease. Yogic practices like asanas and pranayama help to improve the functioning of the body. Yoga brings awareness to eating. Food is an essential fuel for the body, and eating should make us feel satisfied and energized. Unfortunately, this is often not the case. The ancient Indian tradition of Ayurveda, science of life, which can be thought of as a medical branch of yoga, emphasizes a mindful approach to eating. We learn to eat when we are hungry rather than for emotional or social reasons. Yoga teaches how to control our breathing, which is known or called as pranayama. Prana means life force and yama means extension and exercises of our life force. In the yogic tradition, breath plays a central role to balance the mind and the body. When we are stressed or anxious, we tend to breathe shallowly. Simply by noticing this and slowing it down, our breathing, we can immediately access a more relaxed state. Yogic practices are effective for the development of our emotional dimension related to our emotion, feeling, and attitude. There are two kinds of emotions, feeling and attitude, positive and negative. Yogic practices such as yama and niyama will help to develop positive emotions and attitude in our personal and social life and control negative feelings. Negative emotions work as a mental block for the development of personality. Intellectual aspect of our personality. Intellectual development is related to critical thinking, memory, perception, decision-making, imagination, and creativity. It also enables us to learn new things and acquire knowledge and skill. Yoga develops self-awareness and builds self-confidence. Yoga equips people with the skills to try new challenges, cope with mistakes and try again. Yoga makes them feel stronger, more capable, and more confident in their abilities, helping them make decisions and take action that benefits themselves and those around them. Yoga improves focus and concentration. Many people today have short attention span and are easily distracted. Practicing yoga teaches people to focus their attention on their breath, the movement, and challenging poses. As a result, their concentration and focus improve. They process information quickly in their mind and retain pieces of information more effectively. Yoga relieves stress and brings true happiness. The society we live in breeds dissatisfaction and often places us under great stress. People identify with the car they drive, the clothes they wear, and the gadget they own. We forget that true happiness can only be found in the present moment. When we are free of desires and are contented with what we have and not complain what we don't have. Through breath and the higher awareness, yoga also teaches people to step back and respond to stress in a calm and thoughtful manner. Yogic practices such as asana, postures, pranayama, regulation of breath through certain exercises, dharana, sitting straight in a clean and peaceful environment, pratyahara, withdrawal of five senses, ability to disengage your mind and controlling your reaction to external disturbances. Dhyana is known as meditation, help to develop concentration, memory, and thereby help in intellectual development and to attain enlightenment, which means merging with God and universe. Social aspect of personality. Social personality development is at all stages of life, beginning at infancy, when children begin learning language. It further continues throughout life, teaching them about the norms and rules of the society in which they live. Principles of yama help us in the betterment of our relationship with our friends, parents, teachers, co-workers, neighbors, and others. A spiritual aspect of personality. This dimension is related to self-realization. It is recognizing one's potential and developing it to the maximum, thereby helping the person to realize one's true identity. Introspection is very effective for the development of self-realization and God consciousness. I would like to conclude by saying that yoga allows us to live in harmony with nature and with everyone in our community. Enjoy the rest of the program. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Raj. Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi has presented us with this proclamation. Proclamation. Whereas yoga combines physical, mental, and spiritual activity to achieve harmony of the body and mind through connected postures, breathing exercises, relaxation techniques, and meditation. And whereas there are various forms of yoga practiced throughout the world, and it continues to grow in popularity due to the increased flexibility, stress relief, and improved health and fitness experienced by its practitioners. And whereas the United Nations proclaimed June 21st as International Yoga Day in 2014, and the Hawaii legislature passed HB 349, establishing June 21st as International Yoga Day in 2019. And whereas International Yoga Day is observed annually in numerous jurisdictions to raise awareness of the many benefits of practicing yoga, and whereas the Gandhi International Institute for Peace, the Still and Moving Center, and the Academy of Mindful Movement are presenting Hawaii's 4th Annual International Yoga Day, it offers free online and in-person lectures, demonstrations, and classes. And whereas the Yoga Day observance features Dr. Deepak Chopra as the keynote speaker and presentations by Dr. Raj Kumar, Dr. Suhas Chi Sagar, Dr. Matthew Lopresti, and Dr. Piyush Kumar. Now, therefore, I, Rick Blangiardi, Mayor of the City and County of Honolulu, do hereby proclaim June 21st, 2022 to be International Yoga Day in the City and County of Honolulu, to encourage residents to learn about the benefits of practicing yoga and extend deep appreciation to the organizations and individuals involved in presenting the observance, and offer best wishes for a successful celebration done on this 21st day of June, 2022 in Honolulu, Hawaii. Rick Blangiardi. Today's keynote speaker is the founder of the Chopra Foundation, a nonprofit entity for research on well-being and humanitarianism, and Chopra Global, a modern-day health company at the intersection of science and spirituality. He is a world-renowned pioneer in integrative medicine and personal transformation, and is the author of over 90 books translated into over 43 languages, including numerous New York Times bestsellers. For the last 30 years, he has been at the forefront of meditation revolution, and his 91st book, Total Meditation, published by Harmony Books, helps to achieve new dimensions of stress-free living and joyful living. Time magazine has described him as, quote, one of the top 100 heroes and icons of the century, close quote. Please welcome Dr. Deepak Chopra as he joins Dr. Chi Sagar on the topic of, quote, yoga for humanity, close quote.
Namaste. 21st of June is an International Yoga Day, and the great state of Hawaii has recently passed a resolution on celebrating this day in the state of Hawaii as the International Yoga Day. And we would like to have Dr. Deepak Chopra to be the key feature of this wonderful event which is happening in the state of Hawaii. So Deepak ji, the theme of this International Yoga Day this time is yoga for humanity. And how do we find yoga as the solution for the current modern day world crisis that we have?
All the crises in our modern day are actually a result of the conflicted, divided, fearful, anxious, conditioned mind. And that's been the history, unfortunately, of humanity since medieval times. But medieval times, people went into conflict with bows and arrows or cannons or guns. Today we have modern capacities like nuclear weapons and biological warfare, and now internet warfare, which is even more dangerous. You can cause the extinction of humanity by using a computer and cause devastation. In addition, not only do we have these mechanized ways of death, but we have climate change, we have an unsustainable planet, we have poison in our food chain, we have the extinction of species and a total destruction of the ecosystem of which we are a part. What we call the environment is really not the environment, it's our extended body. We don't realize that the air is our breath, and that the rivers and waters are our circulation, and the earth is recycling as our body. And even the atoms in the body were made in the crucible of burning stars. So certainly we are sleepwalking to extinction. And all these problems are created by the mind. And you cannot solve these problems at the level at which they are created. And this is why yoga could rescue humanity right now. That's why it's important that yoga for humanity, because what we call humanity right now is really a collective insanity. And if we deny that we are living in an insane world, we are in a way declaring our own insanity. Yoga is the science of expanded awareness that takes us beyond the conditioned mind into the whole mind, a whole holy mind, sacred mind, collective consciousness, and beyond the conditioned collective consciousness, universal consciousness. So it is actually the need of our time. That's why yoga for humanity is a perfect phrase. As we look at the 8 limbs of yoga, starting with yama and niyama, the first principle in yama is ahimsa. Yama is today being called social intelligence. But it is much more than social intelligence. It takes us to the level of sacred creative intelligence.
And I think even though when we look at the times of Mahatma Gandhi, he so beautifully intertwined this whole yogic philosophy in living and still leading a revolution where it's non-violence, whether it's simple living, natural medicine, physical, mental purification, cleanliness, inspiring people with these so-called yogic thoughts, and was able to overthrow negativity to a certain extent.
Yeah, because the revolution he brought about, Mahatma Gandhi, was an inner revolution. He was the perfect example of ahimsa on a collective level, and nobody could fight that. Ahimsa on that level is invincible, absolutely invincible. And I was saying that today the yamas are being labeled as social intelligence, the niyamas as emotional intelligence, and they're the stepping stones to higher consciousness, awareness of the body, awareness and use of the breath, withdrawal of the senses, pratyahara, but also going beyond to regulation of our internal organs, interoception, dharana, focused awareness and intention, and then dhyan, meditation, and samadhi, transcendence. If we put this all together, and if we have a critical mass of people actually moving in this direction, we can definitely hope for a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier and joyful world. Right now the world is suffering in every level, and the only liberation from the suffering is yoga. As you know, yoga is yuj, union with our own self. Atman is Brahman, and ultimately that's who we are, divine beings with self-awareness. And if we don't unleash our potential for greatness, then our humanity is incomplete.
And I think one of the messages that you were speaking so beautifully this morning was creating a sangha and having this yogic community of people who are doing asanas, pranayama, meditation together, and creating that sangha and creating an uprising in collective consciousness is also going to slowly shift and change us into the right direction.
Absolutely. Then today's sanghas can be global because they are both online and offline. This capacity was not there for our ancient seers and sages. So, and yet their influence lives to our time. Now that gift that we received from these luminaries can spread throughout the world. And we can have a global Sangha. And that's why, again, Yoga for Humanity is very important. And what I was thinking is going back to our traditions where they say, not only in moments of crisis, but to create harmony in the world, we need refuge in the Dharma, we need refuge in our consciousness, and we need refuge in the Sangha. And if we have these three components, then we have transformed ourselves.
Absolutely, and you have been on a tireless pursuit of doing this. I think your new book is about yoga, living in light.
Yoga for self-realization, that's what it is. Yes.
That's perfect. So we wish everyone a wonderful International Yoga Day, and maybe we take this message forward of leading a healthy, happy, enlightened life. Namaste.
Namaste.
Marla Wall's clear, calm voice takes her body safely into places of relief and recovery. Trained from youth in classical ballet, among other styles, Marla became a professional dancer where she traveled the globe performing and teaching. As she began to search out for more health-based practices, from yoga through Pilates, Franklin method, Butekyo, breathing, and Eldoa, she became passionate about helping people feel more free and strong in their bodies, and by educating and directing them to learn through practice, and by sharing tools that promote independence. Marla joins us live from Canada and will now share her thoughts on moving meditation for focus and self-determination.
Thank you very much. It's truly an honor to be able to participate in this beautiful evening, honoring and celebrating this gift we have of yoga, this beautiful science combined with breath and movement that is a wonderful medicine for us. And I thought I would lead us in some movement, and I chose a special movement for me that I do as a meditation for myself. Through my life in movement, and later in life I discovered meditation, and I have discovered that when we can find a movement and repeat it over and over, it's a bit like a mantra. And these mantras can be like a friend to soothe our mind, something that our mind can rest, something that our body can rest in. But before we can really rest in this place, sometimes we need to feel a little fatigue. This movement will be gentle, but we would ideally repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until just a little bit past the point where your mind feels some fatigue. You start thinking, oh, I want to do something else. We sort of tire this little voice, and then there's a little bit of peace that comes. So I wanted to share this movement that's very special to me, a half sun salutation. It's accessible, I feel, for most. It's a safe movement, and I would love for you to join me. So I'm going to back up and let's do some movement together. So just standing tall, you can have your feet about as wide as your hips. And just to warm up our physical body, let's just put one hand over the center of our chest, one hand below your ribs. Take a moment to tune into your breathing. And then just relax your arms. Let your arms dangle beside you. To warm up our spine and our legs, we're going to do a roll down. Take a nice breath in through your nose. As you exhale, lower your chin down towards your throat. You can bend your knees a little bit. We're going to just simply roll forward. You can use your hands on your thighs if you need support. If you feel fine, we're going to roll all the way down. And then roll all the way back up. Head last. Let's do that 2 more times. As you exhale, lower your chin, and then continue breathing softly. Use the weight of your head to come down. If you can, get your ribs onto your thighs, and then push into the feet to roll up. This time as we roll up, we're going to open the arms wide. Give your whole body a nice stretch as you reach up, and then exhale, bring your hands down. Relax your arms. One more roll down. Tuck your chin, opening up your spine, opening up your back body, your hamstrings, stretching here. And we'll roll back up. Open the arms wide. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose. And bring your hands back to your heart. Okay, let's try our half sun salutation. So we will stay standing for this, having your feet connected to the ground. Let's inhale as we raise our arms up, feeling very tall here. As you exhale, bend your knees, hinging at your hips, coming forward, bring your ribs to your thighs, chin to your chest. Now we inhale, we're gonna open the chest. A little bit of a back bend. You could even press your hands to your thighs, pull your shoulder blades down. Good, then exhale, let your head fall. Open your arms and come into one line through the whole spine. So we're moving in one piece as we come up. Reach your arms up and exhale. Nice, everyone. I can see the people practicing in their studio there in Hawaii. Let's inhale, breathe together as we reach up. Exhale, bend your knees and fold in half. Ribs to your thighs, chin to your chest. Inhale, lengthen, lift your heart. It's like a little back bend. Look across the room to open your chest. Then exhale, let your head fall. Open the arms wide. Inhale through the nose and just float back up to standing. You can look up if that feels nice and exhale. Each movement has a breath. Inhale, we open the chest. Open the front of your body. As we exhale, we tend to fold or close into ourselves. We inhale again and open the chest, open the front of your body. Very nice, everyone. Exhale and fold. Open the arms wide as you float up. Inhale, again, opening the front of your body. Then exhale, hands to your heart. Let's do it 3 more times. Inhale. As you get to know the movement, you can relax more into your breath. Exhale. Open the chest. Inhale, we come halfway up. Exhale. Open your arms wide. Come all the way up to standing. Looking up. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Open your throat, open your chest. Notice your feet connecting to the ground as you exhale. Open the arms wide, come up. Push down into your feet to come up. And exhale. One last time, moving with your breath. Inhale. At this point, your body just knows where to go. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen, opening your heart. Exhale. All the way up. Inhale. And exhale. Let's do one with no guidance to see if your body has really learned this pathway. You can follow your movement and breath just as an experiment, just for fun. Going at your own pace without any guidance. We'll do this together. We're just going to feel each other. Good, and finishing at your own time, finishing at your own pace. Take 3 or 4 breaths here, find some balance or stillness on your feet. Thank you so much for practicing with me. It's a real honor and a pleasure, again, to share this with you. And if this is something you can remember in your body, I do recommend
put on your favorite music and do it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just this movement. If you desire to add other movements, you can, but the movement becomes a mantra, your breath becomes a mantra. And through this repetition, our mind begins to soften, relax, our bodies begin to relax. And it's been a beautiful practice that has been wonderful support throughout my life. And I have a feeling it has been for most of you as well. So thank you so much. And I pass it back to the moderator.
Renee Tillotson, Director, founded Still and Moving Center to share mindful movement arts from around the globe. Still and Moving Center aspires to serve the community, support the earth and its creatures, and always be filled with laughter and friendship. Her newest endeavor, the Academy of Mindful Movement, arose out of her intention to bring more conscious and safety to today's world of movement, fulfilling the need for more mindfulness in movement practices. The Academy seeks to empower teachers and coaches to teach the whole human being, body, feelings, and mind, listening to body sensations in order to craft and adapt movements for each participant, caring for their physical, emotional, and mental health. Renee's motto, move your body, still your mind, find center, find joy, motivates her daily life. She considers herself a citizen of the world and brings mindful movement practices from around the globe under one roof at Still and Moving Center, and encourages mindful teaching at the Academy of Mindful Movement. Join her now on the topic of yoga and continuity of consciousness for whole human being.
Namaste. The light in me greets the light in you. As we talk today about the yogic practice and what it means to be truly human. When I think of what some of the great teachers of the world have said, such as Jesus, who said, "You are the light of the world," or from the Buddhist tradition, "Look inward, thou art Buddha." And the Buddha was called the light of Asia. And also from the Hindu tradition, we have so many teachings of the light within all of us. And I think that perhaps we could think of this yogic practice that we engage in as dealing with all the different layers of light that we are. We could think of our body as having a certain lower level of light, a lower frequency level of light. And as we go through our physical practices in the world, we are helping to refine the light of our bodies, meaning all of those little life atoms of our bodies, like tiny lights, we're getting those to be more harmoniously working with one another. And as we steadily go through our yogic practice, whichever one it may be, there are different ways of doing yoga. It could be the yoga of dance. It could be the yoga of work, your labor in the world could be a yoga practice for you. We are refining that physical nature, raising it up to a higher grade of light so that it is of more service in the world. Then we have more of that heart nature of ourselves, that emotional nature that can get very roiled and ruffled by all of the different experiences that we go through, the different emotional little turmoils that we allow ourselves to get into. And this yogic practice, this deep breathing, letting some of those things go, and allowing a little more joy into our lives. That does something for that whole emotional nature, to steady those emotional levels that tend to get a little bit more ruffled and upset, and allow for more of that deep feeling heart that compassionate heart to arise, to interact with the world, to care for other beings, and to put their needs first. That's the kind of heart that I think is filled with light. There's also a great courage to this kind of heart that is undaunted by any obstacles. When we go into a warrior position, that is representative of that courageous heart that we want to bring to any situation. Then there's the level of the mind that could be the chattery monkey mind with all these different thoughts running around, or it could be a more silent, still mind that is able to set an intention at the beginning of our yoga practice, at the beginning of our meditation, and to hold that intention steady throughout our practice, all the way to the end, creating this beautiful thread of continuity that links one thought to the next, to a beautiful ideation that can be a gift to the world. Let's say we're ideating on the idea of universal peace, and we can really see it. I think we do something to bring some light through the mind, illuminated also by that higher heart of compassion, into the world, something that can be of service to others, something when we connect on this collective consciousness of the mind plane can help illumine other minds. And we have as well something that is known in Sanskrit as Atman. It is what we are. It is the true self. It is the observer. I love a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I am the eye by which the universe beholds itself and knows itself divine. I am the eye by which the universe beholds itself and knows itself divine. And when we have some glimpse of ourselves as the observer of all that happens in our lives, the observer of all that happens around us, we expand that sense of self to include the self of the universe that sees everywhere, takes everything in. Yeah. Then that little self disappears, and that larger, higher self has a meeting with all the selves. In fact, there's just one self. That's the light that fills the whole universe. And really, when you think about light, sometimes it can look separate. Like if you see a shaft of sunlight coming through a crevice in the mountains near sunset, it looks as if there's one shaft of light. And really, we know there's no separation. Light is light. It's diffuse. And so I think that what we're seeking in our yogic practice is to recognize that our one light is part of the greater light. So this to me is what it means to be truly human, and how our yogic practices that allow us to refine the light of the body, the heart, the mind, and have some sense of our reflection within ourselves of the light of the universe. Namaste, the light in me greets the light in you.
Willow Tang is committed to the creative process, learning experience, and sacred practice. Poet, producer, choreographer, TV host, photographer, costume designer, and activist, she is primarily a lifelong singer and dancer. In addition to her training and accomplishment in the dance and music disciplines, Willow has faithfully followed a wealth of yoga practices since the age of 15. Synthesizing her studies in yoga, biomechanics, and dance, Willow shares a yoga that celebrates safe form, cultural hallmarks, fluidity, breath work, and mind-body awareness. Her students experience grace and joy through movement. Join her now in an exploration of classic yoga and celebration of nature with roots and wings.
It's always an honor to be able to share the joy of yoga. We have many people here who are already members of the tribe. We already feel like I'm preaching to the choir because I don't think you'd be here if you didn't love yoga, but I'm honored regardless. Thank you to Gandhi International Institute of Peace and of course Still and Moving Center for bringing us together. I teach a lot online, but I have to admit I'm not necessarily accustomed to having hybrid, so my apologies to you here in the room. I want to make sure that everyone has a little bit of aloha. Before I start, I would be remiss to not acknowledge the people who have helped me on this journey. And so I'm frequently known to say that I'm supported by angels and ancestors. And I think you find both in the practice of yoga. And I am very deeply indebted to the various teachers and gurus that I've studied. I would like to give a special acknowledgement to my current and beloved guru, Murti Hauer, and his lovely wife, Lorena, who are both celebrating their wedding anniversary today. So we'll move on and do some things. So since we're already in a seated position, which is great, I encourage you to sit in a way that feels comfortable to you. You always want to make sure that you support your body. So one of the things I think that's so important about yoga is that people often think it's about being flexible and doing different kinds of poses and looking great for a photograph. And those are worthy pursuits. But above all, the gift that I feel yoga brings us is it helps us develop a greater awareness of the self, of the now, and the integration and the strength to be aware of what that experience is. So that's leaving behind the idea of what you could do yesterday or a year ago or before the pandemic. We're here in this moment now. So please modify and accommodate the movements that you see fit. If you need to have blocks or support for your knee, if you need to stretch at any point in a different way, you're always welcome to. I'm going to put some music on because, as Marla said, I'm a big fan and I think that can be very helpful in kind of getting your jam on. So follow the best that you can, and I'm so glad to be here. So we're sitting here in a cross-legged position. This one's for you, Murdy. We're going to do the armpit chest, right? Getting that thumb out, placing it right under the pit before we get too hot and clammy. Rotate the shoulder back and down to bring that scapula nice and flat. Notice how that lifts this feeling of the heart. We want to maintain that, right? Excellent. Let's start off with a seated breath. We're going to inhale. Really pull up from the trunk, up like a tree, and exhale through the mouth. Bring it to the heart in Anjali Mudra. Let's do that again, shall we? Inhale. done before. Let's bring the chest forward, side, back, and side. So we're integrating those 4 points in a different sequence. Cardinal points, 6, 3, no, 12, 3, 6, 9. That was my dyslexic moment. Connect the dots, circle the torso. Same breathing to the front and exhale. We'll go through the 4 points in the other direction. It's really ideal to work both sides of the body. We don't want to play favorites, right? Good. And then smooth it out. So a wonderful way to kind of massage the insides, right? You're welcome to use those hands to guide the body around. You can pull yourself through, right? So we have a lot of options here. Coming back to center, we're going to inhale. Let's exhale with the arms going down. Excellent. I'm a fan of crouching, so we can all crouch. I like to call it the gecko hand. Fingers are splayed wide open, and we're finding a balancing point on what's referred to as the ball of your foot, right? The ball of your foot is there. And let's simply bring that circular movement again, but now we're placing it in the balls of the feet. I like to use 4. It's kind of steady, right? And you can change direction. And yes, feel the weight shifting onto the palms and the surface of the hands. Feel it rolling through the ball of the feet, right? They have so much to tell us if we're willing to listen. I'm going to allow the heels to shift back, right? So it's like you're on some skis, right? And let's take off our hat. We're in Uttanasana chair position. Don't be afraid if your booty sticks out. That's okay. Let's extend the legs, tall like a tree, and exhale. Let the arms float down. Feel the connection with the ground, right? The floor is your friend. All right. We don't have a lot of time, but we have a lot of enthusiasm. So let's first do a few ankle rotations. I'm a big fan of these, as you can tell, because this is the juncture where the leg and the foot and the magic happen, right? And we want to make sure that that's nice and warm before we subject it to other fun adventures. Excellent. Let's simply lift the right foot. This is getting a lot of traction today because they had a study say if you can't balance on one foot, your chances of death increase. That's a pretty terrible way of thinking of things. So let's think of it as we've got mad skills. We're happy that we are still standing, right? Yeah. Good. So this is just kind of introducing that feeling of centeredness. That's what standing asanas do. They really help us remain in our body, and they help us find center. Renee mentioned the monkey mind. When that mind is chattering, when we have a lot of things going on, this is the hardest thing to do. So, we're going to say hello. That reminds us where the hip flexor is, right? It's a ball and socket joint. Let's now rotate. We're going to have it hover by the ankle. I call this a shrub, right? This is one of many places that your tree can be. Sometimes a small tree can be the hardest thing to do. Yeah. Let's inhale. Bring the arms up. Open the hands, splay the hands into Padma. That is a lotus. Yes. Back to the heart. Exhale. Do the same thing on the other side. Say hello. Where's the foot go? Foot's here. Excellent. Let's rotate it. Place it towards the inside of the ankle. Inhale. Arms up, tall like a tree. Pull up out of the hips. Open the hands up, Padma. Right. The arms come down. inhale. We're going to bend the knees and let the air come out to the mouth like a pendulum swing. Right, come up. And open. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yay! Onward tally-ho.
Even from a young age, Yukie loved to dance. To explore how art forms such as dance affect the body and the mind, she studied psychology and healing art at the university. Yukie sadly stopped dancing due to injuries, but as a result, discovered yoga and Nia. To continue studying the body-mind relationship, Yukie earned her yoga instructor certification. And by becoming more aware of her body sensations, of her emotional feelings, and of her thoughts while doing Nia, Yukie became more aware of her true self. Yukie will lead a segment on yoga for stress relief in both English and Japanese.
Aloha, I'm Yukie. I'm teaching Nia and stress relief yoga online classes at the Still and Moving Center. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Today, I'm going to talk about Veda from my experiences. And after that, I would like to share a breathing practice with you. Aloha, 私はYukieです。Still and Moving Center でニアとストレス解消ヨガのオンラインクラスを担当しています。この貴重な機会に感謝しています。今日はベーダのお話を私の体験とともにお伝えさせていただきます。そして後半は少し呼吸の練習を皆さんとしていきたいと思います。When I first studied about Veda, my teacher said the following words: You are not able to get the most important thing because you already have it. Your most important desire has already come true. Those words were really powerful to me. 初めてベーダを勉強したとき、先生が次の言葉を伝えてくださいました。本当に大切なものは手に入れることができません。なぜなら、本当に大切なものはすでに手に入っているからです。本当に大切なものはいつでも叶っているからです。この言葉は私にとってとてもパワフルでした。When you are living in a world of convenience, maybe you notice the inconveniences. But when you are living in a world of inconvenience, you are grateful for the small things in your life. 便利な世界で生きていると、不便なことに目が行くようになります。しかし、不便な世界で生きていると、日常の小さなことにも感謝をするようになっていきます。I'd like to share a story about my personal experience. When I had surgery a few years ago, I couldn't move like before for a while. I was feeling pain in my body all the time. Every day was special, and every moment was special. From then on, I was really grateful for the small things in my life, even the breaths I take. これは私の経験なのですが、数年前に手術を受けたとき、しばらくの間、以前のように動けなくなる経験をしました。常に体に痛みを感じる日々が続きました。そして平凡な日常はなく、毎日が特別で、すべての瞬間が特別だということに気がつきました。それから日々の小さなこと、自分の呼吸にさえも感謝を感じるようになりました。It is always important to have gratitude for myself and others, including the entire universe and choosing thoughts and actions based on love, not fear, is the most important thing for being truly human. 常に自分に対しても、相手に対しても、そしてこの宇宙のすべてに対しても感謝の気持ちを持ち続け、恐れではなく愛のある選択をすること。私はそれが真の人間であり続けるために大切なことだと感じています。Today, I'd like to share a breathing practice with you. When you are breathing, be grateful with each breath and be grateful for your healthy body, mind, and spirit. 今日は皆さんと一緒に呼吸の練習をしたいと思います。呼吸をするたびに呼吸に感謝を込めて、そして健康な体、心、スピリットにも感謝を込めていきましょう。Find a comfortable sitting position. 心地の良い姿勢を見つけていきます。If you'd like, feel free to lie down facing up. 仰向けに横になっていただいても大丈夫です。Relax your shoulders, relax your elbows. 肩の力、肘の力をリラックスしていきます。And lengthen your spine. そして背骨を伸ばしていきましょう。If you'd like, close your eyes. 不安でなければまぶたを閉じていきます。Bring your awareness to your breath. 呼吸に意識を向けていきましょう。Inhale through your nose. 吸う呼吸、鼻から吸って。Exhale out of your mouth. 吐く呼吸、口から吐いていきます。Keep breathing. 呼吸を続けていきましょう。And be grateful for each breath. Inhale as you pray for exhalation. Exhale as you pray for inhalation. そして呼吸の一つ一つに感謝を込めていきます。吸う呼吸は吐く呼吸のために。吐く呼吸は吸う呼吸のために祈りを込めて行っていきます。Take each breath for others who wanted to live today, but could not. 今日を生きたかったけれど、生きれなかった人たちの分も呼吸をしていきます。Be grateful for your body, mind, emotions, and spirit. 体、心、感情、スピリットに感謝を込めて。Be grateful for this present moment. この瞬間に感謝を込めて。Feel love, receive love, and send love to yourself and others, and the universe. 愛を感じ、愛を受け取り、その愛をあなた自身、そしてこの世界のすべてに届けていきましょう。Slowly open your eyes. ゆっくりと目を開けていきます。Thank you very much for your attention and awareness. お聞きくださりありがとうございました。I'm grateful for you all with deep gratitude. 皆様に心から感謝を込めて。ナマステ。
Dr. Piyush Kumar is a student and educator of love consciousness taught in the Hindu lineage of Raga Yoga, Advaita Vedanta, as well as modern esoteric wisdom teachings. He also holds a PhD in science and engineering and utilizes that knowledge for building better systems and processes for food, energy, and healthcare. important things embedded into our daily lives. Here, he lays the foundation for mindful practice with his offering on processing our practice in reciprocity and responsibility. Piyush's discussion will lead directly into a guided meditation practice with Still and Moving Center's Miku Lenentine, an experienced meditation practitioner and circle facilitator. Miku was raised in a mindfulness tradition and has guided weekly meditation, movement, and a community dialogue circle since 2013. She is deeply passionate about living in harmony with the self, others, and all beings, and she believes that each one of us contains the seeds of wisdom for the universe.
Aloha, everyone. Welcome to this segment of reciprocity and responsibility as a presencing practice. I hope the Yoga Day and all the various offerings have been enriching for you so far. My name is Piyush Kumar, and I'm offering this meditation with Miku Lenentine. We will skip the introduction in interest of time, and for people curious about more information, they can find it in the program. Now, yoga comes from a Sanskrit root, and it loosely translates to path to union. We are present when we are in union with all relations. In this time and age of transactional and privatized living, reciprocity reminds us of how everything is connected. It reminds us that the life and energy is for no one to own or hold on to. It comes from the universe and it belongs to the universe. Each individual being is but a steward of this life and energy in their own configuration, and it comes through them and flow out of them. This is what reciprocity is. It is a way of living where we recognize the universality of our own individual being and step to participate in this dynamic flow, the dynamic flow of evolution, the dynamic flow of the universe. Our roles as stewards of this life and energy brings a great deal of responsibility. It is our ability to respond to the energy and life flowing through us in the configuration of our bodies, physical, emotional, mental, and so on. When we recognize this great vision of life as constant and spontaneous acts of reciprocity, when we recognize a responsibility in it, we come into union of the eternal present moment. This is the universal life, the life of love, and the life of beauty. May this meditation help us glimpse with that light of life. Mahalo, namaste.
Take a moment to allow ourselves to settle into the space. Begin by taking a slow, deep breath in. And a slow, deep breath out. Allowing yourself to be fully here in the space. Allowing sounds or sensations to bring you into your center. Focus deeply on the breath.
from the Shoshone tradition to invite us into this space. We'll begin by imagining a beautiful golden field of flowing, tall grass. Imagine the grass moving in the wind, rolling out upon the horizon, as far as the eye can see, with golden rays of light. Begin to see yourself walking in this field. This is the field of your life, the field of all lifetimes. Softly flowing and breathing with the space. As you walk in this field of light, each step that you take is a step on a continuous circle, a hoop of life that has no beginning, that has no ending. And every step that you take into this field is a step coming home to yourself, coming home to the universe, coming home to life and light energy. So I offer the first teaching. As you see yourself walking in your life, come bearing gifts. Know that you are a gift. And every space that you bring yourself fully. Bring your own heart and spirit as it flows in you. Come bearing gifts. And the second teaching. You have a role to play on this planet, in this incarnation of yourself. A role in Hawaii, your kuleana, your responsibility to the place and the people around you, to all of life. And this responsibility is to allow the light to flow through you. Allow yourself to open up and be moved, to return to harmony, to balance, to divine union with all of our relations, human and non-human. See yourself moving in this field of your life, knowing your role. And the third teaching is reciprocity. To give all things their light. When we take, knowing that we take from ourselves, when we give, that we give to ourselves, that we are connected in this cycle. No beginning and no end. To remember all those who come before you and all those who come after you, that we are all connected. So see yourself moving in this field of life and light, these three teachings. And I offer that these practices are how we might be fully present. And that it is our practice, with each breath, with each moment, and each small act, to remember this.
Dr. Suhas Chishagar is a classically trained Ayurvedic physician with over 30 years of clinical experience, a best-selling author, sought-after motivational speaker, researcher, and acclaimed educator in the field of integrative medicine. A consultant for the Chopra Center, Dean of Mount Madonna Institute, and the Director of Ayurvedic Healing Incorporated. He will take us on a journey today to optimize our human potential with Ayurveda and yoga.
Namaste. My name is Dr. Suhas Kshirsagar, and I'm a classically trained Ayurvedic physician practicing here in California. Today, I'm so honored, and it's my great pleasure to invite all of you for the International Yoga Day, and especially in the great state of Hawaii, which has adopted a legislation to celebrate the 4th International Yoga Day. I think yoga and Ayurveda are truly lifestyle sciences. And I'm so happy that the International Gandhi Institute for Peace and Nonviolence, founded by Dr. Rajkumar and the Still and the Moving Center in Honolulu, is hosting this event together, because that's the very essence of yoga. When we talk about selfless love, nonviolence, truthfulness, joy, compassion, all of these great human values is the very message of yoga, Vedanta, Vedic wisdom to the whole humanity everywhere. And more importantly, the theme for celebrating the International Yoga Day today is truly being human. And that the theme is so important because each of this word resonate with yoga greatly. We'll start with truly, and we're talking about truthfulness. Gandhiji wrote a wonderful book about my experiments with truth. And truthfulness is a human value, to be sincere, to be honest, not to have this manipulative dual quality in your mind for petty little gains. So how can we be truthful to ourselves? Because that is the most important relationship, more so than anyone else that we have with ourselves. Are we truthful to ourselves? And the second part, which is so important, is being. And that disconnection that we have with the modern day and lifestyle is taking us away from being in a state of being, to be present, to be mindful, to be aware. The whole journey of human life is also about self-awareness, about how aware you are with every interaction that you're having. Even now, when you're listening to me, just listen. Who is listening? What is happening around you? The sensory experience that you're ingesting, there's a principle of consciousness where all of these experiences are stored and registered. And that connection with something bigger, better, greater, and brighter than yourself is so important. Because that state of being is what is highlighted. And this is totally secular, non-religious in all way. And I think that is what humanity is all about. Humanity is a soul religion, and I would call it as S-O-U-L, soul religion. The word religion simply means to bind, to come together. And that's what we are trying to do. For celebrating the International Yoga Day, we are all coming together and celebrating this virtual satsanga. That company that uplifts each other is so important. And when we talk about humanity as a soul religion, it's totally non-secular. It brings people together with simple human values of selfless love, joy, compassion, truthfulness, non-violence at every level. Non-violence, verbally, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that is so important. And I think going back to this, Gandhiji used to say a wonderful Vedic phrase which says, Manavata Paramo Dharma. Dharma is one's rightful duty. And everyone's rightful duty is to be human. Manavata. The English word man, women, human, all comes from this root Sanskrit word manushya, manav. Manushya ones who has mind, who has the ability to use their mind and intellect for their own welfare and making positive choices. And I think the very theme of the Gandhi Institute, the very theme of the yoga studio that we're talking about is all about awareness towards peace, conscious living, and more importantly, having a non-violent lifestyle. Going back to the theme of when you connect these three words, being truly human, it is an inward activity. It is an activity that slowly shifts and transforms your own thinking, your emotional well-being, and slowly leads you on the path. When we look at the 8 limbs of yoga, the Ashtanga yoga, as we call it, is yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. The first two, which are the intelligence that is needed for living a good social life or leading a community life. We call that as social intelligence. And that social intelligence is all about the 5 yamas that we talk about: ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, and aparigraha. So we are talking about non-violence, we are talking about truthfulness, we are talking about non-accumulation of unwanted material greed. Aparigraha, which is asteya, and sensory withdrawal to a certain extent, minimizing the sensory needs. And brahmacharya is a very interesting thing, and often it is mistakenly translated as celibacy or abstinence from sex. But the word is often defined as brahmam acharati yasa brahmachari. So leading a lifestyle that is filled with the awareness of Brahman. And Brahman means consciousness. It's something which is bigger, better, greater than yourself, smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest, is Brahman. And to having that awareness and leading your life that you are never born and never gone is something which is more related with this consciousness-based lifestyle. And that's what yoga and Ayurveda is. Their health, they consider health as a byproduct of enlightenment. And it's a consciousness-based living. And I think that is what we are trying to propagate through the concept of yoga. As we celebrate the International Yoga Day on 21st of June, it is a transition as we move into summer. There's more greater solar predominance that happens, shedding light, bringing light, and shedding your doubts and ignorance and shadowy aspect of your personality is the very theme of International Yoga Day. And going back to the niyama aspect of yoga, which is about purity, physical purity, cleanliness, emotional cleanliness, well-being, santosh, which is contentment, not having a whole lot of greed and unwanted things that you accumulate in your system. Tapas is practicing austerity. Ishwar pranidhan is engaging into meditative practices that brings you closer to your greater self. And more importantly, we're talking about swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is not about study or reading books and scriptures only. It is important to do that, but self-study. Studying yourself is the swadhyaya, is what we're talking about here. And every person who has practiced without even knowing about it, whether we talk about Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, all of these people have led a yogic lifestyle. They have understood that their dharma is to go out and help people, treat everyone with equality, peace, justice. Those are human values: equanimity, peace, love, joy, compassion. That's what these people are revered as role models itself. So if at all there are a few takeaway points, number one, take good care of your physical health, emotional health, and well-being. Pay attention to your diet, sleep, and exercise. Make sure you're spending time in nature, breathing fresh prana all the time. That's very important because your physical body is a reflection how your mind works and how your body works. Secondly, engage in some activity that makes difference in someone else's life. It's not writing charity checks, but doing consciously that makes difference. And exactly the purpose why we are coming together is to help each other. And third, constantly be on a quest for your own internal journey and evolution, elevating and living your life from higher states of consciousness, being a stronger vibratory essence, being a role model for everyone else around you, how you think, how you behave, how you act. It's not something that you will do overnight, but as you keep on doing, you will start perfecting or leading the original lifestyle medicine, which is centered and grounded in the very basic sciences of Ayurveda and yoga. So on this wonderful International Yoga Day, I wish you health, peace, abundance, joy, compassion, and greater success in all your endeavors. Namaste. Thank you.
Let's stand up and get moving again with our next presenter, live streaming from Kyoto, Japan, Asa Kuleana. Asa is internationally active as an aerial arts movement coach, a yoga teacher, multidisciplinary performance artist, and a Reiki master who works both English and Japanese. Her unique approach to movement integrates many years of her personal experience as a competitive athlete, world-class performer, yoga practitioner, and coach. In her work, she hopes to share the wonders, joys, and the healing nature of self-expression through mindful movement and to facilitate opportunities for people to connect their authentic self. Asa will lead us through a brief spiral fascial flow yoga practice.
Hello and welcome everyone. Such a pleasure to be here, an honor to be with all of you online all over the world and there in Hawaii. Thank you so much to SMC and everyone for this opportunity. And yes, as I was kindly presented, I would like to share a flow today, a spiral fascial flow, which I share at the SMC. And so the reason why I do what I do is I have been a mover since the age of 3, and I love to move my body. I was a competitive athlete, and then I went and joined the circus. I ran away with the circus, which was my dream, and I moved and moved and moved and performed, had the spotlight on me and got to travel the world, which was absolutely magical. However, 8 years ago, when I decided to leave that touring life and take that spotlight that I received daily inward and get to know myself, get to know my mind and body and deeper, that is when I became and started my journey as a mindful mover. Up until then, I really only commanded. I felt like the voice inside my mind was very harsh. And through yoga, I have begun that journey to connect with myself, become friends with myself. And when I met my fascia 5 years ago and met my dearest mentor, Beta Lisboa from Dynamic Spiral Yin Fascial Yoga, I wept and wept and wept. For I realized again that I had not ever listened to my body. Even my yoga practices prior to that, I really always demanded, and I was so concerned with the shape and form, being that world-class performer. And yes, yoga is not about that. It is really about how we feel inside of us. And fascia is such an intelligent sensory organ. That's why I am focusing on it in my work. And so today I would like to share some moves with you for you to sense that interconnectedness of your whole being. This fascia is like an organic onesie, like a Spider-Man suit that covers us all, that interconnects us from all our cells and our bones and all of our soft tissues. It wraps us and coats us and also separates the places that need to be separated. So fascia tends to also store memory for us and hold these patterns for us. And it is up to us to go and delete those files that no longer need to be there. And the way we do that is through the body, through expression of the body, through movement, through voice. And so I hope you join me in this exploration of sensing our interconnectedness. So you can, if you can rise to your feet, we're going to come to stand about hip width apart, gently lifting all 10 toes for a moment. Let them spread out wide, releasing them down onto the floor or mat, and allow the body to begin to bounce. Yeah, fascia also loves to bounce. Yeah, nourishing and hydrating, and you can shake the wrists out and shake the legs out so you can shake or bounce. We're also resetting our nervous system as we do this. Let the head and face and your skin be soft. You can even come off the ground if you like. Really letting go of any tension. Just allowing yourself to sense what's going on and let go. Take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Then shake it out. Let's do that once more. Inhaling through the nose. And shake it out. Beautiful. Releasing any cobwebs, any sticky ickiness. Out, 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 out. And coming to stillness. You can gently close the eyes and allow yourself to sense all that is alive inside your body in this moment. Maybe you feel a little sparkly, a little bubbly. I feel a little bit like champagne here. Whatever is alive for you, just connecting to it. Yeah, beautiful. You can keep the eyes gently closed. And now we drop our awareness into the soles of our feet, sensing the ground beneath us. Softening the backs of our knees, we gently tuck the tailbone. Allow your spine to be nice and long, shoulders away from the ears. Gently tuck the chin so the back of the neck is even longer. Yeah, rooting down to the soles of the feet, spine elongating up, crown of the head floating up towards the sky. Allow your sternum to be lifted from the inside as if someone is pushing gently your sternum forward and up, letting the collarbones be wide, sensing the space between each fingertip. Bringing your awareness to your breath, inhaling through the nose. Bring that breath down into your belly. Let the belly expand in all directions. Maybe you hold, sensing that fullness of being. And as you exhale, gently drawing navel towards spine. Beautiful. Coming back to your natural breath, opening your eyes. You can step the feet a little bit wider. So imagining you're Spider-Man, you're going to send the web from your left hand to your right foot. So sense the connection between your fingertips and toe tips. And we gently pull that web, yeah, and feel from your fingertips to your toe tips, this interconnectedness. You don't need to go to your maximum range of motion, only where it feels really yummy. And slowly return back to center. Coming to the other side, send the web to your toes and sense the interconnection from the fingertips to your toe tips, opening up the fascia, the front of the body and that spiral line, and slowly returning to center. Beautiful. We're going to dive into a deep pool now, and we're going to begin to draw figure eights with the hips, and you're able to breathe in this deep pool. So we begin to gently sense the gentle resistance of the water around us, bringing your awareness, sensing the soles of your feet. And everyone, notice how your knees and hips and your torso, your shoulder, your neck and head, everything is following this movement. If you would like to join the shoulders and invite it in, drawing circles with the shoulders. Breathing in and out, sensing the water around you with your shoulders as well. Now begin drawing circles with the elbows, like you're leisurely swimming. Yeah. Sensing the front of you opening and the sides of you. And now from the fingertips, as if you're doing the backstroke. Again, only moving as far as it feels really good and nourishing. Elbows soft, knees soft as well. Opening the fascial body on the front and the sides. And now changing directions of the hips. And maybe the arms now come forward like a forward crawl. Again, sensing the water, your fingertips, your palms. Now beginning to sense how the back of your body is getting to open up. That's it. Beautiful. Now elbow circles. So we're drawing spirals and circles. That's it. And now into the shoulders. Make this movement really yummy for you. You can let out sounds. Beautiful. And we inhale, gather the water around us, sense through the palms and the finger passing through your fingers. Interlace your fingers for a moment. And we draw spirals with our fingertips. Knees soft. Sensing the sides, the backs, and the front of our body, and the fascia opening up. Beautiful. And changing directions. That's it when you're ready. And coming back to center for our final move today. Imagining you have little cups or sake cups on your hands with the elixir of life. Imagining now that elastic band or that Spider-Man thread from your left thumb to your left big toe. You're going to offer that cup out. Take it behind you, over the head. Sense the side body gently soften, front body to back body without dropping that cup. Return. Beautiful. Other hand, we offer that cup out. Take it out to the side. Take a nice deep inhale. Sense all that's opening, soften sternum and navel to back body. And we come back. Beautiful. Bringing both hands together in front of the heart. Let us bow down to our hearts and miraculous bodies. Thank you so much for joining me in today's little flow. I hope to get to move with you again. Namaste.
Please welcome Professor Matthew S. Lopresti, PhD, teacher of philosophy at the university level since 1999. Representative Lopresti has lived the vast majority of his adult life on Oahu, 21 years, moving here in 1999 to pursue his dream of earning a PhD in comparative East-West philosophy from the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and has lived here continuously ever since. Matt traces his passion for constant betterment of community to his involvement in community service at a young age and civic action for over 20 years. Matt's work ethic and his care for the land and the environment come from both his grandfathers, each of whom were farmers and small business owners, and his father, who spent a lifetime as a professional engineer. His passion for education comes from his mother, who was a teacher. Matthew strives to practice the virtues he teaches his students from both Eastern and Western global traditions. As a member of the Catholic Church, he has served as a lector and a volunteer for church activities and also enjoys practicing yoga and meditation. Mahalo, Professor Lopresti, for joining us today to discuss your philosophy of yoga.
Thank you, Ella.
Thank you.
Before I get started, I wanted to present a certificate to Dr. Raj Kumar, who joined me. This is from the House of Representatives. I'm here in my capacity as a professor, but I also serve in the legislature. And we wanted to congratulate Dr. Kumar and the Gandhi International Institute for Peace on Hawaii's 4th Annual International Yoga Day and celebrating it today. So congratulations to you, sir. And I just wanted to read part of it. Much of it's in the same vein as the other certificates. But this is simply recognizing that yoga is practiced by over 300 million people worldwide. It can promote health and well-being, resulting in physical, mental, and spiritual balance. And whereas Dr. Raj Kumar and the Gandhi International Institute for Peace continuously uplift the people of Hawaii by promoting nonviolence and peace, raising awareness about healthy living, educating the youth of Hawaii, and organizing and hosting community events open to the public. The House of Representatives congratulates you very much. Thank you for your service to the community.
1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Thank you.
Nice. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about one of the angas of Ashtanga Yoga. Dr. Chopra had talked about the first two, yama and niyama, which are the first two angas of Ashtanga Yoga. And I'm going to talk a little bit about samadhi, the last anga. And in thinking about what I would talk about today in Yoga for Humanity, I couldn't help but think of grace. Grace is something that is vital to yogic discipline and yogic spiritual realization, but I think it's often overlooked, and I wanted to talk about that today. So learning yogic techniques to train and focus the mind, body, and breath, each are a part of the spiritual quest that we seek, with which we seek inner knowledge and the equanimity that prepares us to attain self-realization. The salvation is the ultimate aim of yogic technology. And we see that in both the Bhagavad Gita as well as Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which I have a copy here. This attainment of salvation requires great personal effort and concentration, as you know, as yogic practitioners. But in the end, the highest levels of samadhi is not something that's attainable just by the individual effort alone. This final moksha and release, it's unattainable without the element of grace. The Yoga Sutras begin in Yoga Sutra chapter 1, verse 2, defining yoga. In Sanskrit, it's yoga chitta vritti nirodha, that yoga is the cessation of mental fluctuations. These are the fluctuations that distract us from seeing things as they truly are. The calmness of mind enables insight, realizations, and clear distinctions to be made about who we are and what exactly the bonds are that yoke us to endless suffering that comes from destructive actions that inevitably stem from deluded thinking. The beauty of yoga teaches us how to calm the mind and let it rest in a state where at some of its highest and most profound states enables us to attain different levels of samadhi. Samadhi is not just one level. The rishis and the acharyas warn us that we should be careful, however, not to mistake hypnotic trance-like states as yogic experience. We should distinguish this as a state that can be reached along the way towards the highest samadhi. But as peaceful and profound as it may be, this trance-like state is not itself salvation, the salvation that's offered through yoga philosophy and practice. Here, what yoga philosophy and practice does is it distinguishes between what we call samadhi with aid and samadhi without aid. The aid is the yogic techniques which involve great effort and mindfulness through practices like asana, pratyahara, pranayama, especially dharana, concentration, and dhyana meditation. These practices can bring us to great states of calmness and clarity, which are called samprajñata samadhi. And in a sense, this attainment is a way of preparing ourselves to be open to this higher samadhi, the asamprajñata samadhi. But we can't make this great step, this great leap on our own. We can only prepare the way with humility, renouncing the fruits of even these profound and difficult actions. As the Gita tells us, we renounce the fruits of our actions. That still applies in yogic practice. So we open ourselves to accepting deva prasada or anugraha, different terms for grace. And in the end, this enables us to reach the highest samadhi and kaivalya. Yoga Sutras 123 and 245 are quite clear for many yogis that the end goal is attainable really only through the devotion to Ishvara, or Lord, or God, however you want to translate that. Throughout the text of the Yoga Sutras and its commentaries, it's seen that Ishvara's grace is required to attain the higher modes of consciousness. These are not attainments that can be willfully forced through individual effort and technique, but must come about, as Feuerstein says, spontaneously and autonomously. And for this reason, it's been interpreted by scholars and yogis as grace. Vyasa tells us again that one must still also practice yogic techniques as they are necessary but not sufficient for salvation. So today's theme is yoga for humanity. Who is this Ishvara or Lord of yoga? What does this have to do with the message today? Well, Yoga Sutras chapter 2, verse 44 talks about how the yogi chooses their Ishvara that they focus on. And this can be confusing, I think, to a Western and increasingly secular audience, but it's helpful to be reminded in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 9, verse 23. It tells us that it gives a welcoming, pluralistic understanding of the divine, and that in Ishvara's eyes, any devotion, even to other gods, so long as it's done with genuine sincerity, it's accepted. These devotions are accepted by God ultimately as demonstrations of love and devotion to Him. He doesn't scold us for using the wrong name, the wrong form. He welcomes and loves us for the sacrifices we make in our hearts and minds. Because of this love, when we have prepared the way and are ready to receive His grace, it's there for us. It's there for the whole world. That's the theistic yoga. To conclude with a notion of yoga for humanity, even if a practitioner does not adhere to theistic perspectives, this is still relevant because it's spiritually and existentially helpful to see that yogic practice involves preparing yourself with hard work to eventually let go of the illusion of control. That this life, that we have these ideas and illusions of control in this life, and we just simply should be content and accept things. To do this, we must take care to subordinate our egotistical natures. We must renounce the fruits of our actions and humbly open ourselves to whatever the world puts before us. Letting go and receiving the grace, compassion, and kindness of others enables us to transcend the mental anguish, the physical ailments, and the existential sufferings we find in this world, and instead see the goodness that permeates it. It permeates Brahman, creation, whatever you want to call it. And that in itself is its own secular form of salvation, I think. And we cannot achieve it alone in a vacuum. It requires community. It requires kindness of others. It depends upon grace as a gift that we give to others and hopefully prepare ourselves to receive that from them. Thank you. Namaste.
The secret's have a little magical cushion. Thank you so much. Cass has some magical glasses. Representing Oahu's Blue Lotus, Hawaii, Jennifer Reuter's teaching is shaped from over 20 years of training in various styles of yoga, resistance and weight training, anatomy, yogic philosophy, relaxation, mindfulness, and meditation. You'll find her classes interdisciplinary, inviting both ancient and modern-day perspectives. She is passionate, patient, caring, and attentive to the people in her classes, and is committed to making yoga accessible and sustainable. In today's offering, she reflects on the subject of self-compassion for emotional well-being.
Namaste. My name is Jennifer Reuter, and I facilitate Blue Lotus Kailua, a nonprofit organization dedicated to yoga, wellness, and movement. Gandhi inspires us with these words: be the change you wish to see. I believe global peace starts at the individual level, and self-compassion is a means to that peace. However, self-compassion is often misunderstood and not practiced enough. The polling on self-compassion revealed 5 misunderstandings. The first, self-compassion is a pity party, and nobody likes anybody who's having a pity party. 2, self-compassion is weak. Males especially don't like the idea of feeling soft and weak. 3, self-compassion means self-indulgent. People believed self-compassion was just being nice to yourself and giving yourself lots of pleasure and doing whatever you wanted. 4, self-compassion is selfish, self-absorbed, and narcissistic. And the last one, which is the number one fear of self-compassion, it will undermine your motivation. If you are compassionate to yourself, you could get soft and lose your drive, and you would not achieve your goals. The good news, self-compassion is no longer a nice idea. It is well researched with over 1,200 articles of hard empirical data to show that these fears of self-compassion are false. As I continue to explore and practice self-compassion, I've noticed it takes discipline. For example, when I'm triggered or challenged, it doesn't feel natural to pause and experience compassion for my predicament. I'm usually hijacked by immediate feelings of bodily discomfort and a waterfall of reactive thoughts. But when the dust settles and when I can remember to discipline myself into a quiet, compassionate moment, that difficulty loses its power over me, and I'm able to see differently myself, others, and even a bigger picture of the world to which I belong. Instead of pushing down the unpleasantness, wearing it on my tissues, and allowing it to cloak and dampen my outlook, I'm learning there's another way. Self-compassion is an important coping mechanism. But in order to qualify as self-compassion, these three things need to be present. 1, mindfulness. So this is the ability to be with the pain or discomfort, difficulty. 2, kindness. Treating oneself the same way one would treat a friend. 3, shared humanity. This is really important for distinguishing self-compassion from self-pity. This is the acknowledgement that the human experience is imperfect and that all people lead imperfect lives and make mistakes. As creatures of comfort, it takes discipline to not resist, but lean into discomfort. And science says humans share a negativity bias, which is why self-criticism might feel more familiar than self-kindness. But here's the thing, it feels good to care, and humans evolve to care. It is what separates us from reptiles. When we give others or ourselves care, compassion, things are pretty much the same in either direction. What we're doing is tapping into the caregiving evolutionary system of our brain. A reward is felt in the body, and we become our own pharmacy. What would it be like to receive the same caring attention from yourself? There's a lot of research done with veterans, people going through divorce, people dealing with major health issues, and they said their practice of self-compassion increased their strength and resiliency. It didn't make them weak, self-absorbed, or self-indulgent. So, what does a self-compassion practice look like? There are 3 things. 1, to the degree it's possible, turn towards the discomfort. Be willing to be touched by it. 2, respond in some way with kindness and care. Now, everyone is different, so it's important to know what works for you. For some, it might be active service. Others, it might take the form of prayer or chanting. For others, it might take the form of resourcing to the great sky, the great mother, Jesus, the Buddha. The idea is to remember that it's not the small self that has to hold all suffering. And the last one is the shared humanity component. You're not alone. We are filled with unrealistic self-demands and expectations. And ultimately, we're not perfect and we make mistakes. It's never too late in life to learn and apply something new. The ground under our feet is our shared humanity. Earth needs us more than ever to find the courage to care while invoking receptivity and patience towards ourselves and the ones we call others. Because in the end, we're all in this together. So be the change you wish to see. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Please look up. Participants seated under an aerial hammock are invited to join instructor Catherine Hartz as she leads the next movement segment. Feel free to swap out with someone else at any time or simply sit back and watch. Catherine loves helping students find their connection to health and self-expression through these amazing human bodies we live in. Catherine's background in movement runs deep and wide. As a dance and fitness educator, she holds an MFA in dance from the University of Arizona and is certified in aerial yoga and the melt method bodywork. As yoga evolves into new dimensions, today's segment will guide participants through some simple postures in this aerial yoga teaser.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody in person. I'm Catherine. This is a love of mine, okay? And I'm so happy to share it with all of you. I'm going to assume that you who are turning in on this do not have an aerial rigging in your house, but I might be surprised. But enjoy this, see what we're doing, and follow along as best you can. Okay, so you all found a rigging. This is a rigging, and that is what you're going to relate to. One of the reasons I love this is that it calls me to stay connected from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. So one of the things we need to do is measure you into the hammock. So if you could just grab it and take it, it should be about hip. Now you're in one that's too low for you, so we need one that's too low. Yeah, you can switch. And that one's really, yeah, that works. And that one gives a little bit more. Each of these are a little different. There's a little bit of relationship you have to form with your particular hammock. So let's see. Can I have you two switch? Thank you. I'm sorry I have to point. I don't know everybody's name. Okay, great. Thank you for being willing to do that. Everybody else is pretty good. Okay, next thing we need to do is pull a mat so that it's, do you want me facing the camera or here? Whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so that would be, I'm going to say Amir and you. So we're rearranging from the diagonal we've had in this room to a relationship with straight on. Little different. And we've got the air on, I take it. Air conditioning seems like it's off. Yeah, so looks like, so you want to have it right in the middle. So this, think of this as your plumb line. How many times in yoga have you been told, like, stand out the top of your head, right? And in dance, when I was always teaching, it's like, oh, imagining you're dangling from the top of the head. Well, you actually are. So this connection of our feet and up above. So I'm going to just ask you to stand right under your rigging. See if you can just sense your feet and sense where the rigging is and the ceiling. With your eyes closed, that you're just sensing. In a way, it's opening up the crown chakra, third eye, the throat chakra, solar plexus, root chakra, our feet. All the way. Oh, beautiful. So you're safe in this. This rigging is designed for over 1,000 pounds. So we all can really trust our hammock and our rigging. So I'm going to invite you to open your eyes, but keep that sensitivity that you all had just in that moment. And we're just going to put on like a backpack. So it's a backpack, and we get to just sit down, feet in parallel. And you'll imagine it's a little, I call it productive discomfort. So you feel a little bit of pinch at the shoulders, at the shoulder blades. You could just push down a little bit to resist it, but let the hips drop. So there we already have that elongation, right? Beautiful elongation of the spine. Just wiggle your hips side to side and come right under your rigging. Come right under your rigging. Okay, and wiggle your hips side to side. And now let's do a cat and cow. So round, tuck the pelvis, and then tilt, and tuck, and tilt. Great. Good. Grab a pie. You're going to pull with your arms a little bit, body roll through, and just hang over. Let your head drop, rotate your wrist. I call this position chillaxing. Chill. I'm glad you laughed. Thank you. And reverse it. So you can always come to this position if you'd like, okay? If something's too much, you can come to this position. Okay, let's go back into our backpack. Now we're going to push with our feet and reach over and interlace our thumbs together. Big stretch of the day. Really press those feet into the earth, biceps by the ears, and feel that beautiful stretch. Grab your left wrist and take it over to the side. And take it over to the other side. Yeah, beautiful. Does that feel good? Yeah, it's that, I love this because it just feels so good. Arms out to the side. We're going to go through our joints, our ankles, knees, push through, ski jump everybody like you're jumping, how many skis, right? Imagine coming off the ski jump and then come back through. You are a great class. Now that sound you hear, that's just carabiner against carabiner. It does not mean that the rigging's in jeopardy and fall. All right, great. And come back to center. Now we're going to pull ourselves up, come out of the hand.
Everyone's invited to sit or lie down for this final segment brought to you by yoga therapist Andre Harleen. For Andre, yoga has been much more than just a set of exercises, folding and unfolding the body. Yoga becomes therapeutic in living a more wholesome life. Having practiced yoga since 2000, Andre was one of the first to receive a master's degree in yoga studies from Loyola Marymount University. He is also a certified yoga therapist and a health coach. Relax under Andre's gentle guidance for a yoga nidra practice.
Hi everybody. So after this beautiful immersion, for the final relaxation, if you were to lay down on the back, just feel your body, see if your body needs any adjustments. If you want to twist, to stretch, take a deep breath, to shake, any adjustments necessary to be more comfortable for the final relaxation. I invite you to all close your eyes, take a deep breath. When you exhale, exhale to your mouth, letting go of all tension in your body. More time, move your feet. Exhale. Let go. Throughout this practice, you don't have to control anything, you don't have to concentrate, just relax. I'm going to guide you to different parts of the body. Invite more relaxation. Make sure your legs are slightly apart, your arms a little away from your body, palm over hands facing up. And move your awareness to your feet. Relax your feet, relax your toes, relax your ankles, relax your knees, your thighs, relax your hips. Your awareness to your back, relax your lower back, middle of the back. Relax the muscles between your shoulder blades. Relax your neck, top of your head, relax your forehead. Relax the space between your eyebrows. Relax your nose, tip of your nose. Relax your lips. Relax your tongue. Relax your chin. Relax your jaw. Harness your throat. Relax your throat. Relax your chest. Deep over chest. Feel that you can relax inside your chest. Relax your abs. Feel that you can relax inside your abs. Feel breathing natural. Your awareness back to your face. Relax all the muscles around your face. Relax all the muscles around your eyes. Relax your eyes. Feel that you can relax inside your eyes. Relax your thoughts. Try to be still for a few moments. Just relax, observe, join. You bring back attention to your body, to your body. Moving your fingers, your toes, small movements, no rush. Breath. Put both hands together, rub your hands against each other. Very warm a little bit. Place the palm of your hands over your eyes. Slowly choose one side, roll down to the side. You can recharge this. Inside. The help of your hands. See.
Thank you, Andre. Well, this comes to the end of our wonderful, diverse, inspiring, and just so much aloha in this presentation. We're at the end, unfortunately, but what is an end but just another beginning? We want to say mahalo to our production team, Ilanthi, Emily, Doris, and Chandra, as well as thanks to Still and Moving Center, the Gandhi International Institute for Peace, and the Academy of Mindful Movement. And of course, to all of you for joining us today, mahalo and namaste.